Good evening, everyone. We are live at the Soo Locks in Sault Ste. Marie. You are watching right now the first ship of the season. It will go through in just a few minutes. As we're waiting for the ship to start, please keep sending me your locations and let me know where you're watching from. Few people from Michigan. We love our Michiganders. The temperature here is hovering right around freezing, maybe slightly below 32 degrees. Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Illinois, Louisiana, thank you for joining. I bet it's much warmer in Louisiana. Traverse City. I did get one question. Can y'all do a video at the end of the shipping season for the last ship as locking through? We will definitely think about that. Very possible for us to do that. Utah, California. While we're waiting for the ship, I'm going to do a pan across the lock here so you can see how big it is. This is the Poe lock, P-O-E. It is the largest lock on our facility, 1,200 feet long by 110 feet wide. It is the only lock we have here at the facility capable of locking through the 1,000-foot freighters like the Edwin H. Gott that you see. Thank you all for joining us. It is quite a lovely evening for the opening night. Our viewing platform looks like it's completely full right now, both top and bottom floors. Thank you to the public who could come in person for this. We appreciate you. Someone's watching from Cleveland, Ohio, and his dad is on the Gott. How exciting, very cool. For those of you that say they're coming tomorrow, fantastic. We do have an open house at our visitor center. We would love for you to come stop by and check out the visitor center, see all the wonderful exhibits we have. We will talk to our Chief Park Ranger, Michelle Briggs, in just a little bit, get some information from her. We will also talk to one of our line handlers and lock and dam operators. Some people watching from just right up the locks here at West Pier. I bet you have a fantastic view. Mackinac City, Kalamazoo, Dodge City, Kansas, via Streamtime Live. Yep. Roberta says her son is the captain of the Gott. Roberta, I think I met you earlier. There was a large crew of people that got to welcome the first ship and present some plaques, got to go on board, to include the captain's mother and wife. It was a very special occasion. Here she comes. The Gott is the most powerful ship on the Great Lakes. Well, I will walk along with the ship as she comes into the lock. We will let her come in and go through so you can see how large the ship really is. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll try to answer them as they come up. And someone asked, isn't there a new lock opening soon? That is correct. 2030 is the year anticipated for the opening of the new lock project. Construction did start in 2020. They are ramping up for the construction season. Now they just brought one of their crane barges over yesterday. Are there more than 1,000 viewers via YouTube right now? I'm not sure how many are watching the Stream Time Live YouTube. Maybe Les can let us know how many. I have 611 right now on the Facebook Live. How do they not scrape the sides? They do absolutely scrape the sides. So the Edwin H. Gott does have a fresh paint job right now. They do get pretty scraped up. They ride the north wall here. The lock is 110 feet wide, and the ship, the Edwin H. Gott, most 1,000-foot freighters that are on the Great Lakes are 105 feet wide. So that means there's only 5-foot clearance. So they do ride the north wall and scrape it all the way in and all the way out. So there's 5-foot clearance on the other side. Once the ship goes in and the miter gate closes, I'll walk on the gate. You can see how little clearance there is. $946 on the Stream Time Live. Are there any northern lights out your way tonight? I do not see any, but last night was a fantastic night for it if anyone was in the area. What was the most unusual things found when cleaning out one of the locks? This year we didn't find too much, just some hand tools. Last year we found a necklace, a tire. I'll have to ask Michelle if she remembers what the most unusual is. The new lock will not be wider than the Poe. It will actually be the exact same size as the Poe, 1,200 feet long, 110 feet wide. The Gott is heading upbound. The Gott is heading to Two Harbors, Minnesota. Someone says they think we found an entire rowboat once when we were cleaning out the lock. I'm not sure about that. An entire rowboat? Someone said that they think we found an entire rowboat when we were cleaning out the lock once.
No.
No? Maybe a long time ago. We'll have to look into that.
And I've never seen that.
Someone asked why not build a new lock wider. There's a few reasons. One is the connecting channels and rivers in the Great Lakes really do not allow for ships larger than 1,000 feet long. And the second reason is to have a resilient, redundant lock so that we can operate it the same way and we can have parts that would be used for either. So they do not intend on making ships larger than these 1,000-foot freighters for the Great Lakes. These 1,000-foot freighters are locked on the Great Lakes in case anyone's wondering. They cannot make it out to the ocean. They cannot go through the St. Lawrence Seaway. The lock systems there are not large enough. So these 1,000-foot freighters that you see here are only on the Great Lakes. There have been 3 icebreakers that went through before the Gott. Although the Gott is the first official commercial vessel of the season, we did lock through 3 Coast Guard ships, 1 Canadian Coast Guard and 2 U.S. Coast Guard ships. And that happens every year. They do need to get into Lake Superior and break up ice before the ships head up. There are going to be 2 ships waiting to go downbound. I believe one is the Lee Tagurtha. I don't remember the other one off the top of my head. We do have 9 ships waiting in the system to head upbound. They will all go before the downbound ships go. That's the plan right now. They have all been waiting. It is a first come, first serve service, so that all the upbounds will go first and then the 2 downbounds. So it'll be a very active first day. How many crew? The crews have about 15 to 35 people depending on the ship. What determines which ship is the first through on opening night? It's really just first one to get here.
About a big foot now. Just touching him. Hello. 1 foot now.
How close am I to the chambers? I am right in front of it. I can reach out and touch the ship if I wanted to, but for safety reasons, I am not going to do that. There's a lot of pinch hazards here, so safety is always a main priority with the Corps of Engineers. So why does the smaller lock stay closed so much longer? So the MacArthur lock is staying closed longer. It will be open, or is due to be open April 24th this season. It's undergoing some maintenance that's just going to take a little bit longer. American Mariner, that is the other downbounder. Thank you. This is the Edwin H. Gott. She is 1,004 feet long, so actually a little bit longer than 1,000 feet. She is the most powerful engine of all the Great Lakes freighters. The first ship last year was actually the Gott's shipmate, the Spear, and the Gott was the second one last year. It will be a very busy day at the locks. It will be a constant flow of ships. So now that the shipping season is officially open, the ships will come through 24/7. We operate the facility 24/7 from March 25th to January 16th every year. It's never closed. There are some times that the ships are stopped in the river system for safety reasons, like high winds or lightning. How much horsepower does the Gott have? That I do not know, but that's a question I can ask Michelle in a little bit. She'll probably know that question. Or if someone else knows in the chat, go ahead and add that in. So here you can start to see how close and how little room the Gott actually has. I'm going to put the camera over the ledge here a little bit. She's riding right along the north wall, and that's for some very good reasons. These ships are so powerful, the water has to have somewhere to move, so they choose to ride along the north wall so that the 5 foot of clearance is all on the other side, and that water has somewhere to move to. 19,500 horsepower. Thank you, Nate. Momentarily, the gates will close when the Gott gets secured into the lock. So I will stand here for a moment and we'll watch the gate close. I'm going to pan over this way so that you can see the other ships lined up here. There's one on the north wall and then one on the south wall. They will be the next 2 ships. How is the ice on Lake Superior? The ice has been fantastic this year, really not a lot of ice. Last year the ships all got stuck in Whitefish Bay, and I don't think there's going to be much of a problem this year. The new lock again will not have more space. It will be the exact same size as the Poe. Someone did put the Ship Watcher's Bible is available, Know Your Ships 2023. I did see that is out in stores and ready to be purchased. I'm going to peek over the side here while we're waiting for the gate to close so you can see the line handlers. These ships are actually very, very fuel efficient. It's more economically feasible to run a ship than it is to run this amount of freight on a train or on a truck. I'm not sure the exact miles per gallon. So they're lining up the vessel now, making sure that it has enough space in the lock and it's stopping in the right location. they do tie the lines to these mooring ballers that you see. The mooring ballers are these yellow button-looking structures. So they tie the ship in place, make sure it's secured in the lock before they start raising the water level. Someone asked, how long does this whole process take? So it takes, I would say, close to an hour for the entire process. It takes about 20 minutes, excuse me, for the ship to come into the lock. And that's because they're coming in very slow. They're trying to protect the ship. They're trying to protect the lock. They don't want to damage our gates and they don't want to damage their ship. So the process of coming in takes about 20 minutes. We're at 18 minutes after midnight now, and the gate has not quite closed yet. They're still securing the ship. Once the ship is fully secured in the lock, they'll close the gate, and then they'll start the raising the water level process. And that'll take about 15 to 17 minutes, and then about another 20 minutes for the ship to exit the lock. So the gates are getting ready to close. So you can see those red lights flashing. There is that was a very awesome salute from the Gott we just got. Fantastic first ship salute. So when the gates close, the lights blink and then you can hear the buzzers going. When the gates close, they will be in a miter position. Very nice master salute. We do run the locks when it is windy. However, the locks or the ships do stop sometimes in the river for their own safety. So someone asked, there's no hands-free mooring at the Soo. There is no hands-free mooring on the MacArthur or the Poe lock. However, it is anticipated it will be put in with the new lock. Once these gates close, they'll start raising the water. All right, the gate is fully closed. I have Matt Prue standing by. We're going to talk to Matt. He is a line handler / lock and dam operator and a supervisor, correct? No? Okay. Well, I just promoted him. Please let us know what questions you have for Matt about the process of bringing the ships in. Matt, here's a question for you. Okay. Why do we walk the ships in with the lines?
For safety and to be able to pull the cables down in case something happens. We can pull the cables down and throw them on the mooring buttons.
Okay. People saying hi to you. Last year, someone named him Matlock because he answered a question I did not know, so he figured it out, so he was nicknamed Matlock. If anyone remembers Matt from last year. Matt, how long have you been here?
I've been here for almost 15 years now. Actually, over 15, going on 16.
Nice. Do you have a favorite ship?
The Lee H. Agatha.
Lee H. Agatha.
That one's always in and out, no problems, nice and quick.
Nice. Someone asked what's on the ship. There's nothing. The ship is not transporting anything at this time. It will be. What's that?
In ballast. Yep.
Explain ballast for us.
So in ballast means that they have no cargo, just ballast water. So what they're doing is the 1,000-footers don't bring any commodity up. They always bring commodity down. So they're either going up for iron ore or coal or stone.
What is the favorite part of your job?
I like working outside. I'm not a type of person to sit behind a computer in the office. I like being outside.
Very cool. What are the shifts that the lock employees use, especially the line handlers, lock and dam operators?
What are the what?
The shifts. Like, what shifts do you work?
We work 12-hour shifts, 7 to 7, and we rotate. We have 4 crews that rotate between days and nights.
Awesome. Someone asked, why do we not do the first shift during the day? We are federally mandated for our closure time, so that's the reason for that. Yep. So the gates are closed at an angle. What is the reasoning behind that?
So as the water in the lock chamber, and it's the same in the upper river, raises higher than the lower water, what that does is, with the gates at an angle, it allows the water to push against the gates to help hold them closed.
Awesome. Someone asked if you were here when they did the dirty jobs.
I was. I had about 5 seconds of fame on dirty jobs.
Fantastic. Let's see. Are the crews that are working on the ground all Army Corps of Engineers employees?
That are working here right now? Yes.
So what about the line handlers that the ship sends down?
They work on the ship. They're deckhands that assist us in doing our job.
Awesome. All right. I think that is good for right now, Matt. Any last things you want to say?
I have nothing.
All right. We might come back to you in a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yep. So we get to watch Michelle on her fun little cart here. Michelle, I'm going to walk the length of the ship and then we'll go talk to Michelle. No, it's okay. Yeah. Can you hang on a second? Yeah, okay. Or ask Matt too. Okay. Do they still bring mail to the locks? They do. So there is a post office here at the lock. So one of the things that the line handlers for the ships or the deckhands come down for, besides helping tie off the ship, is to collect their mail. When was the last time a smaller ship was first? So in 2021, we had the Van Enkevort Trader tug barge combo. Trying to catch up on any missed questions I had. So you can see already from when the ship came in how much higher it is now on the lock wall. So it's already been raised quite a bit. There's 22 million gallons of water in the lock chamber that need to be either raised or lowered every time a ship comes in. There's 21 feet difference between the Lake Superior level and the Lakes Michigan Huron level. And the reason for the locks here. Ships cannot go uphill or up falls or down falls. What were the funniest shenanigans that happened while a ship was locking through? I'm not sure of any funny shenanigans, although maybe a West Pier delivery. Sometimes when the ships are waiting to come through and they're moored near the West Pier drive-in, I've seen them get some orders of some hamburgers. Why is the Jugurtha called the Queen of the Lakes? When we talk to Michelle, we will ask that question. Michelle is our Chief Park Ranger, very knowledgeable on the ships and the history side of things. So we will ask her that question. What is the most common problem a ship may have when passing through the locks? I'm not sure about problems they have. We'll ask Michelle that one too. She's been here for, I think this is our 14th opening day. What do we do in the off season? That's a great question. There is no off season for us here at the Corps of Engineers at the locks. When we shut down between January 16th and March 25th, we get to work and do all of our winter maintenance, meaning we do all of our main maintenance items that we need to do to keep the locks running and operational for the navigation season. So we generally de-water the locks to do maintenance, meaning we take the water out of it and keep it out with pumps. And then during the very bitter cold months of January, February, and parts of March, up here in the northern Upper Peninsula, we do a lot of maintenance. We do gate repairs. We're walking by our compressor building right now, so it's very loud. How many lines are there used to moor the Gott when she is in the lock? So there's 4 lines, 2 on the upper end and 2 on the lower end. We're getting ready to come up to these lines here so you can see them. What is the longest ship on the Great Lakes? The longest ship is actually the Paul Jugurtha. So why aren't the ships going down allowed to come in when the water is being lowered? The lock is empty at that time. Sometimes if we have a lineup like we do today, 2 reasons. Ships have a first come, first served basis. So the ones that are all heading upbound have been in the system and have been waiting. and the two heading downbound have not quite made it here yet. The other reason when we have a lineup like this is once this ship exits the lock, if we do have a ship that's heading downbound that's moored on our wall, the ship has to fully pass the other one before the one that's waiting can come in, and that can take a decent amount of time, sometimes over 20 minutes. So sometimes it's quicker for us to close the gates and then lower the water and then let the next upbound ship come in. Is it easier for a Coast Guard ship to lock through? The Coast Guard ships are smaller, so there's a lot more room for them to navigate inside of the lock. So I would say it's maybe easier. You ready? Are you ready?
Yeah, but you might want to hurry and shop in the middle.
Okay.
It's almost done.
Okay. So we're gonna walk on the upstream miter gate really quick, and then we'll talk to Michelle. So as we're walking across, just notice the water level difference on each side of the gate here is almost equal. We do have our bubblers going to keep ice away from the gates. Very, very important that ice does not build up and does not get in the way so that we can close the gates properly. I'm going to quickly go to the side here so you can see how tight of a squeeze it is in here. And then we'll backtrack and talk to Michelle. So very, very little room. Doesn't look like 5 feet from here. There is some ice in the chamber, but nothing that's going to stop the Gott. We made it just in time on the gate to show you the other side. They're about to open it. So we're going to frame Michelle up here. We have the Gott in the background. The gate's going to open soon. So there were some questions that came through here earlier, Michelle, that I did not have the answer for, but I believe you do.
We'll see.
Yes.
Stump the chump.
One of them, I remember, what was the most interesting thing that's been found when cleaning out the locks?
You know, the things that were found since I've been here that were really kind of interesting to me last year is they found a bracelet and a fork. And then a couple of years ago, people who are as old as me will remember the old pop cans where you pulled off the little things that would cut your foot when they were in the sand at the beach. And we found a bunch of cans with those kind of tops. So things that have been in there a long time.
Interesting. So what's the most common problem a ship may have when passing through the locks?
This time of year, it would be ice coming down from Lake Superior. So basically, all of the ice that's in Lake Superior, unless it melts, it's going to flow downstream, which is here. Usually, a lockage takes a boat about 45 minutes to an hour. and I've seen lockages take like 9 hours because of ice. The Gott actually, as a matter of fact, in 2015, it was a really bad winter. They came in, and it took them, that's the boat that took 9 hours to get out. They would start coming out, and then they would get jammed in ice, and they'd have to back out, and they had to just keep backing up in and out, in and out. It was actually kind of humorous for a little while because we had the open house in the visitor center when the Gott was making that blockage, and people would run out like, oh, it's moving, it's gonna go now. And then they'd all be back in. It's like, nope, backing up, going back in the chamber.
Wow. I'm going to pan over just quickly to see the gate here. So you can see this upstream gate is opening. Once it's fully recessed into the wall, then the lines are undone from the mooring bollards, and the ship arrestor goes up. The Gott will be ready to exit the lock. This boom here is the ship arrestor that you see. It will stop a ship that cannot stop on its own. All right, so what are some of the other questions? There's a question, Michelle. Has there ever been an incident where there was a problem and the ship didn't go through as planned?
Yeah. Ice. Lots of times with ice. When I worked in the Davis building, or not the Davis building, the admin building, I had an office on the second floor that overlooked the co-op. And they were having ice build up in the guard gates. So the 110 foot wide canal was no longer 110 feet wide anymore because of all the ice packed into those guard gates. And it was one of these 1,000 footers was going by, and I would see it going past my window, going, and all of a sudden stopped. And then having to back out again and try to make its way between those gates because the canal had narrowed.
Wow.
We eventually had to use one of our vessels with an I-beam attached to a bulldozer, a loader, and actually scrape the ice off of the gates so that the ships could get through.
Wow. Well, someone asked, these all have kind of a reoccurring theme right now. What's the worst incident that has ever happened?
You know, the worst incident I've heard about, this is actually a real life dangerous place. And this was, I think, in the 40s or 50s, and somebody got decapitated when a cable snapped.
Oh, wow.
It's a real life dangerous place. That's why we have all this safety gear. That's why we all have training. That's why we all are staying on certain distances from the bollards and away from the cables.
Great.
And that's also a reason why the public is not allowed over here.
Yeah.
Because it is actually a very dangerous place.
Absolutely. Safety is definitely our main concern. This is a really good question. Are Corps employees part of the Army, or are they civilian?
We are civilian parts of the Army. So the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is a corps within the U.S. Army. And unlike the U.S. Army, the Corps of Engineers is about 95% civilians and 5% active duty military. So my ID card, I have a military ID card, it just says civilian instead of active duty.
Great. This is a really good question, too. Under the ship is the lock. How much space is there underneath the ship?
It depends on how deep the ship is loaded. The lock is designed at datum, which is like average water level depths, for the PO to be 32 feet deep. So if a boat comes in loaded 30 feet deep at datum at the regular average water depths, there's 2 feet of water below the bottom of that hull.
Thank you. Has the lock ever been closed during the regular season because of a problem?
Yes. This lock is 55 years old this year. I'm 55 years old this year, and I don't walk off injuries like I used to. And we've had a couple times where we've had outages where we are solving a problem. Luckily for us here, we are incredibly self-sufficient. We have a whole machine shop. We have a huge maintenance branch, and pretty much anything that ever goes wrong here, our people have fixed it.
Great. Is the water pumped in or is it gravity fed?
We could never move this much water with pumps. That horn, by the way, means the boat's moving forward. We use gravity. There are culverts built into the lock walls that are big enough to drive dump trucks through. And so when the valves are open, it's just like draining your bathtub. The water is always flowing from Lake Superior down to Lake Huron, and it's just gravity moving that water about 1 million gallons a minute.
Great. How many people are on the ship per shift?
Per shift, I'm not 100% sure. I know today the Gott has 22 people on board, crew members. There are a few that work like 8-hour shifts, like your galley crew usually works an 8-hour shift, so they work regular 8-hour day, 7 days a week. But your deck crew and your engine crew, and a lot of them, they work watches, which is a 4-hour watch. So they'll work 4 hours on, then they're off for 8 hours, and then they work 4 hours on again. So you're like the noon to 4 person and the midnight to 4 a.m. person.
Very good. What port did the Gott start at before it arrived here?
Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. That's where it laid up for the winter.
Let's see. Lots of questions. These are great questions, by the way. So this is a good question. How are the shipmates that got off of the ship getting back on board?
They have a ladder. So there's a ladder that they lower over the side, and when the deckhands are done with their duties on the pier wall or the lock wall, they just climb up their ladder and get back on board.
Great.
You know, in the summertime, they have an extra tour. They usually will go collect their mail. We have a little post office here on the facility where they get their mail. And then they'll also drop off laundry and pick up clean laundry from a contractor that does that service here.
Great. Trying to catch up on the questions. We're gonna, as I'm scrolling through these, I'm gonna let you all see the ship coming through the ice here. The ice is thicker here. Looks like the ship is actually going to push a lot of it out. So Michelle, another question for you. Someone is asking what your favorite ship is.
You know, my favorite ships are the ones I've been on board. So I have kind of a list of them. And the Gott is one of those ships. Carrie and I both got to go on board the Gott this afternoon. We were part of the official delegation that went to welcome the Gott as the first ship of the season. And the captain was kind enough to invite us all up to the pilot house. So that would put the Gott on my list. I've had a couple others I've been able to ride on or at least visit and see the pilot house.
Awesome.
So it'd be the Paul Archer Bertha, the Roger Blau, the James R. Barker, the Lee H. Gertha. It's a long list.
Awesome. So someone, this is a very nice comment. Thank you. This is our new hobby now. We watch the Soo Locks on our big screen TV every day, and we learn something new every time we watch. I learn something new every single day I work here too. So
and I'm going to recommend on your big screen TV, check out our virtual visitor center. Our Detroit District YouTube channel has a virtual visitor center. Myself and the park rangers from Duluth, Minnesota do programs about the locks, about Great Lakes shipping, all kinds of related topics.
Awesome. Thank you. While I have you here, Michelle, ship arresters, let's talk ship arresters really quick. So what is the purpose of the ship arrestor and what's going on with the new ship arresters?
The ship arresters are to stop a ship. Arrest, of course, is meaning to stop. The boom that you see, the big arm that you see that comes up and down, that is actually holding a cable. So the cable is about 4.5 inches in diameter. It's actually the cable that's going to stop a ship. And if you think about the way it works on an aircraft carrier, when an airplane is landing, they grab that cable and that stops them. That's basically how this works, but a little slower motion.
Hang on, I touched the motor. Sorry, my fault.
And then we're replacing our ship arresters. They're being upgraded, I should say. The old system, it had the cable went down into the ground, and there was a drum that it rolled up and down on with a hydraulic cylinder underneath. And they have changed them to a new system where it's a little more compact and it's easier for us to be able to maintain and to inspect, because the other system, it was 70 feet down in a shaft. A little hard to get down there and not easy to maintain. This new system is all above ground and it is state of the art. It will stop a ship before it can hit the gates.
Awesome. Thank you. We are going to pan across and watch the Gott as she exits the lock. If we did not get to any of your questions, we'll try to get to them at the end, or we will answer them on Facebook. We do have a TV crew here from Duluth as well. They made a trip to see the opening of the locks. So if anyone is watching from Duluth, you can probably watch their story very soon. They've been here for a few days. They are with Northern News Now. People are asking for personal tours, Michelle. Likewise, I love talking with Michelle and walking around the facility with her.
Next best thing would be virtual visitor center. I have a program that we did on there about winter work, so it actually goes into the empty lock and runs through what all of our crews do all winter. There's another Soo Locks program that kind of goes through what we do here all year round.
Awesome. Here's a good question. Is the first ship always an upbound ship?
No, not always. In 2014, it was a downbound boat. It was the John G. Munson, I think, or the Callaway. It's one of those two.
Yeah.
I think it was a Callaway.
Great.
That was the year that boat was 11 days late. First ship came like April 4th.
Awesome. She has almost exited the lock. The trip for the Gott to Two Harbors will take a little over 24 hours from here. So if you're in the Duluth area, Minnesota, look out for her to arrive about 24 hours from now. Michelle, someone's asking why the lock opened late in 2014. Was that due to ice?
It was. It was one of the worst winters that we've had on the Great Lakes. Normally it takes about 24 or 28 hours from Duluth to here. And that winter it took them 9 days to cross Lake Superior. One of the icebreakers had to turn back. It gotten damaged. The Presque Isle had to turn back from ice damage. It was a brutal winter.
Here's the ship arrestor we were talking about. From this angle, it doesn't look like the Gott will fit underneath the International Bridge, but we promise
It has in
it
the
will.
past. It usually does.
Yeah. All right, the ship arrestor is down. They will now close the upper gate and then begin the lowering of the water for the next ship to come through.
Over and over all night.
Yep, over and over all night. This will be happening for the next at least 12 hours, it seems like. We will sign off now. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We really appreciate it. This video will be on our Facebook page if you want to watch it back at any time. We will try to get to any questions and answer those that we did not get to. Thank you all for joining. Have a good night.